Hello, welcome to the November Tempo community call. As usual, if you have not been to this call before, if you please ask questions throughout. I will bother Jenny here. I guess this direction. Bother Jenny here whenever there's some questions there at a right time. If you're unable to ask questions, please click on your profile icon in the top right corner and then create a channel. Sometime in the last few years, that has become a Google/YouTube requirement, or you can't do anything, which is not super helpful. Yeah, so I am going to let you introduce yourself a bit, and then also talk a bit about what our topic today is as well.
Thank you, Tiffany. Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Pham, and I have been a member on the Tempo team for over 3 years now. And today we are going to talk about the nil operator, which has been requested multiple times, but we finally got it working. So let's get started. So. So the problem we have right now is, okay, let's imagine we have 3 spans right here. The first span and the second span have the attribute foo, right? They have different values, but they exist. And then span 3 do not have the attribute foo at all, right? And currently we don't have a way to get to this third span, right? If we do span of foo is not equal to bar, we get just span 2 back. And then if we do span of foo is not equal to boo, we get just the first one back. And then if we do both, right, not equal to bar and not equal to foo, we get nothing. We have no way to get this third span. And here's a very, very simplified, demonstration of how Tempo finds attributes, right? So here we have this query, span.foo is not equal to bar. So what it does is we have an iterator that looks through the span attribute key column, right, to find foo. So we go through each row, like, hey, the key for this first attribute of this span is ABC, right? The next one is XYZ, and then we finally get to third one, which is foo, which matches the first portion of our query. And so now we return the span before we even check the value of what foo is, right? Foo is just the key of the attribute. So because of this, we skip over all of the spans without foo as the attribute. And hence why we can't find the span number 3 from the last slide, right? Because it does not have the foo attribute at all. And then right, so now introducing the new thing that we have, the nil operator, which is just the non-existence operator, which is just equal to nil. Here we assert the absence of an attribute, right? We already have an existent operator, so not to be confused with that, which is not equal to nil, right? We do span of foo is not equal to nil. That asserts that that attribute does exist in the span, right? And this is the equal to nil version of that, which asserts that the attribute does not exist. So here we have span of foo is equal to nil, which means we will return all spans without the span level foo attribute. And here's resource. Same concept, right? It will return all spans without the resource bar attribute. A little introduction about the row number, just in case we get a little confused. So each of these numbers here represents a different level, right? Here I have a little color-coded thing for you, right? So this first one, if this number changed, it means we've moved on to a new trace. If this number changed, we've moved on to the next batch or resource, right? So on and so forth. So here we're looking at this span key attribute right now. Just a little aside, but each of these numbers can represent multiple things, right? So even though this is the instrumentation level, it can also represent the resource attribute level. So each thing can represent multiple things, but anyways, but they're different. The thing to know is that they are different levels. Going off from that, we now have the new nil iterator, which it also iterates through the key column, but now we keep track of whether or not the key has been seen or not, right? So here we go. Let's look through the key together. Imagine we're the iterator now. We're going to go to the first row number. All right. So this span, the first key, the first attribute of this span is ABC. First attribute of this, the second attribute is foo. And then we go to the next line. We notice this number has changed. This means we've moved on to a new span, right? And see, since we are looking for the foo attribute, it means that this first span, we've already found the foo attribute, which does not fit our criteria of we're looking for the absence of foo, right? So now we're in a new span right here. Again, we go to the same thing. The first key is ABC, second key is ABD. And again, we notice that, hey, this number has changed. This means we've moved on to a new span. And look, we've moved on to a new span without seeing the foo key. This means that this span right here qualifies for our query here of foo is equal to nil. So we'd return this span, right? So that's one condition we look for is if we've moved on to a new span or not, and if the key has not been seen yet. And then we have another scenario, right? We move on again. The next span, right? Again, we have not seen the foo value here in the next span, but look, it is the end of the block, right? So another exit for us is if we've reached the end of the block, and this span still doesn't have the key foo, it means this span it also qualifies for our query right here. And so, right, back to the original problem, we can now get to span number 3 using the nil operator. Now we can do span of foo is equal to nil, and this will return span 3 because, hey, look, span 3 does not have the foo key in it at all. Right, and if you want to look for both span 2 and span 3, you can do span not equal to bar or span of dot foo is equal to nil, and now you can get both span 2 and 3 back. So the scopes that we support are pretty much all scopes, resource span instrumentation, and links and events. The only caveat about links and events is we will only return the span where there is at least one event or one link without the attribute. Because remember, there can be multiple links in a span and multiple events in a span. So if there are 2 events in a span and one has foo and one does not, that span still gets returned because one of the events does not have the attribute, right? And here's a little demo. I mean, it's pretty much straightforward, but I will just show you quickly. So let's go example for this span. We can see in this span has 1 here, right? So we're going to try to find all spans without this one key. So we go to do span dot 1 is equal to nil. Let me close this. Oh, did my computer freeze? Okay, just kidding. All right, so now we get here, and look, it tells me that these spans do not contain the one key attribute. Right, oops, I think this is not the right span. This one, is it this one? Yes. All right, we look through the attributes. It does not contain, right, the one key. And let's try events, right? So I'm pretty sure we don't have an event called with an attribute called not exist, right? So this attribute does not exist at all, right? When we do a query for this, we only get back spans that contained at least one event, right? So here's the event, and this event does not contain any of the key that I specify, which is this key not exist. And the same goes for links. Cool. That's pretty much the end of my demo. If anyone has any questions.
So I guess what are some like specific cases where people are like, oh, I really need this, or like I know that was a issue that someone had created and people had like commented on it, but like what are like some of the key places that you're seeing people like specifically caring about using this?
Right. So what happens is sometimes people forget to set the attributes, right? And they want to, let's get to those bands where they forgot to set the attribute for, and they want to, so that they can find those bands in their code to set the attribute for. But also, I think one of the users who submitted an issue is they wanted to look for a certain HTTP target, right? Which is not equal to, I think, health, because that is, I guess, not the one that they're interested in. But then if once they do span.http.target is not equal to health, they get back only like the spans or the traces where the target is actually set, right? But they have multiple other services that are not HTTP related, right? So those spans will be skipped over completely. Yeah.
Okay. And then, like, if folks are interested in going and looking at the PR, we have the PR over the link that I have put here. It's also I put in the chat as well. And then I also, whoops, I click on the wrong thing. Banner. Okay, so yeah, that definitely makes it easier for people because, like, I could see some people be like, wait, so how do you do that? But now there is a way to be able to go and do that.
Yep.
And then I wanted to just share it with folks, like for folks who watched last month's call on the Hyperlog log. There was the talk about the metrics generator registry active series demand estimate metrics. So if folks want to go and take a look at the merged PR that is over there for that, and it's also as in part of Grafana Cloud Traces as well. And if folks want to see more about the Hyperlog log, if you want to go take a look at the community call from last month, this month is quite short for our call. If any of you watching are like, hey, I have this thing that I really want to show or it would be really cool, please go over to the Slack so it's slack.grafana.com. So go there in either the Tempo channel or find Tiffany, message me because it would be really cool to have folks outside of us on here as well and seeing what you're all doing. If you have any questions for Jenny, please ask them here. If you think of something later or you're watching this after the fact, are you in the community channel or should I pass things along to you otherwise?
Yep, I'm also in the community channel.
So yeah, if you have questions about anything, whether it's this, whether it's things that you want to see in another community call, if it's something that you have in general, just go to the Tempo channel inside of the community, community Slack. And then we also have a call that is over next month. And then also if you have anything that you would like us to demo or show or explain, talk about, etc., please share those as well. We would love to have your ideas and just make this even better for you all. So yeah, I guess if no one has any questions, this is going to be our shortest community call yet. Happy November, folks. And then yeah, see everyone in December, I guess, which is kind of crazy how fast this year is going by.
Yeah.
So, well, almost a new year, soon enough. So, yeah, well, thanks everyone. And also, if you missed it, it's been a little bit now, but go check out Tempo 2.9. Look into things with like MCP and sampling. Again, comments, we'll take those questions, etc. So, yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.